Hello everybody, Christian from Treasure Town here, and today we're going to be doing an inventory highlight video. I have these coins, which are probably about 15% of the total of items that are going to be offered in my upcoming sale on Tuesday, the 5th of March at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Not every single graded coin here is going to be offered, but a large amount of them are. We've got everything from interesting varieties to, let's see, this one should be a world coin. That's a pretty expensive one. I don't know if that's going to be in the sale. You know, everything from rare Thai coins. This has a much higher chance of making it in, early pre-World War I German silver coins. And then we've also got, here's another one, but I was especially excited about this VF35 Chinese dollar. So again, so many exciting items. I've also been focusing a ton on interesting ancients. This is a beautiful Caligula Vesta ass coin. We've got some nice Antonianus Pius. That's a beautiful tetradrachm. I don't know if that one, is a budget offering necessarily, but we do have some of those. I'm going to take you through a bunch of the inventory though and do an inventory spotlight in the usual way where we do a lot of the highlights. There's also some other fun and exciting things about this sale that I wanted to point out. So really looking forward to it. And Isaiah is also going to be using much of the same inventory for his sale this Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. So those will be live streamed to YouTube, though you can only bid from Whatnot. There's a link in that live stream and in the description for $15 off if you haven't purchased yet. But I'm super pumped and really looking forward to offering some choice numismatic material. So the other exciting thing, and I maybe have a little bit of time to show off some of the items, is that all of this stuff is also going to be offered. The other batch, there's like a few that I'll be holding back. This one, literally everything in front of us is going to be for sale. I'm going to do a quick spotlight on these. Then I have a few coins that I want to take, 30 seconds or 45 seconds to explain. But we really have a wide range. So the first is, this is a tiny, tiny gold coin minted in India. I think it's really fascinating, some of the history that can be observed on them. It is struck. It was imported into the States about 50 years ago, and it was their very smallest denomination, but a lot of the opportunities for purchasing cheap gold coins are going to be in Indian coins. They're often a bit debased, so they're not in the best condition still, but, really, really interesting. I just wanted to highlight, these are more fast highlights. Right here we have what's called a Condor token, which is a really interesting series. I'd want to point it out because basically there's been times in America and world history where we don't have enough coins to use in circulation. And those have typically been in the smaller denominations like this copper coin. And we have to think, in 1792, people were mostly focused on silver and gold and precious metals. So something like a copper coin, it wasn't really legal tender. You couldn't exchange large batches of them for silver coins at their face value. It was more to stand in for smaller change. And so this was the half penny denomination. There would have been, I think, 480 of these half pennies in £1, because it used to be 240 pence was one British pound, and 960 farthings was the half penny denomination, 1/4 of a pence. And so, around the time of the Revolution was one of the areas where we had a bunch of these private issue coins. So often they would be maybe minted by and it's not in this case, but a store that wanted to advertise for themselves, something like that. And so it's really fascinating that we get to have a fair amount of those. There's some parallels with the Civil War, and at that time actually they were importing their lowest weight imitation half pennies to the colonies and causing issues because we were only able in the States to trade with underweight items. Right here we have and that's the San Luis Potosi. So this is actually not a Mexican coin, but I think with that San Luis Potosi, I think that means it's a Bolivian coin. A King Charles the Fourth, and King Charles the Fourth I mentioned in a previous inventory highlight. He was very weak. He basically had to abdicate to Napoleon and was ousted by his own son, Ferdinand VII. Right here, this is a beautiful coin. I actually probably should have considered grading it, but I think I'm going to offer it. It won't be a super cheap start price. It has some modern toning, but it's this imitation dram. So that's that's where dram and dollar, that's where we get it from, of Philip the third of Macedon, who was the son, or excuse me, I think the half-brother of Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great dies in 323 BC, and he is in power until 317 BC, but more so as a puppet for the generals that split up the empire into Macedonia, or Macedon. What else? The Ptolemaic Empire, the Seleucid Empire, and a bunch of empires break from there as the centralized control isn't quite as good. But these would have been struck by tribes near the Danube in that style, but it's a much cruder type. And I just find that pretty interesting. Right here we have an earlier ruler, so we have some 1st century. This is Vespasian, who ruled after Otho, Galba, Nero, and a ton of turnover in the Roman Empire. On the reverse, we have Titus and Domitian, who would also rule for a bit after Vespasian, and this would have been Roman provincial, so a lot of these bronzes in this time period were minted not in the main capital, but all throughout the Roman provinces. And then here we have a Civil War token. We have a fair number of these, and this is the same thing. So people start hoarding their small currency during the Civil War in America. And so, here we have Christoph Karl, 42nd Avenue A, New York. He would have wanted to advertise something for his store. And then you could also have confidence that if the government didn't mint this, well, this store would take it as 1 penny. And so that was how they were backed, basically. And it was great advertising for the, Christoph Karl, or whoever was making it. In addition to, they could probably strike the coins for less than a cent. They were quickly, I should actually still have it on screen, they quickly outlawed them, the federal government, as they didn't want everybody to just use those. Here we have a Mughal the Great Mammoudi, which is kind of like a half rupee, but this is the Akbar the Great. I've really been learning more about Indian history, some of the different empires going all the way back to the Mauryans. Then we see the Indo-Scythians form into the Kushans, the different Western satraps, and the I believe it's Guptas, and there's just so many, and Kidurite, all the way up into the Huns. There's so much on there. Here, this one has a little bit of a cut on it, but it's a beautiful French silver jeton. This is Banque d'Escompte de Paris. It's some sort of bank. I should know what escompte means before I make this video, but this octagonal silver jeton wouldn't have been used for commerce, but similar. It's like a nice presentation piece, and they often have incredible artistry and medallic engraving styles, so that's been something I've focused on. And then here, this is an interesting portrait. This is after Emperor Napoleon III, who's Napoleon I's son. He takes power in 1852, and after there was a bit of an experiment with democracy, and reigns all the way through to like 1870, I want to say 1 or 2, somewhere in that range. But then they replace him and they start minting coins. Maybe it was actually like 67. They start minting coins with Hercules, and in the same way that American coins don't have a ruler on the portrait, they kind of made that shift over. But I'm really excited. We'll do a few more highlights, not of these coins, but just as a smattering, Roman Republican denarii. That is a Abbasid Caliphate. There's a beautiful Bactrian square, Civil War token, Domitian coin, Licinius, he gets killed by Constantine the Great, Shipwreck Netherlands, East Indies, Ayyubids in Egypt, Ottomans, Suleiman the Great, Japanese silver. There's a Seljuks of Rum, Turkic coin, interesting Indian bar, also an Indian coin, off-center dimes, variety war nickels, regular silver $50, another Roman Republican. There's ancient French Celtic quinarius, a 6th century BC diable, and a ancient forgery denarius from the Roman Republic. There's some grapes and a Roman provincial bronze. That's a Bactrian silver coin this time, and a modern, or a more modern Roman provincial from the late 200s tetradrachm. Antoninianus, which is debased at that point, a Celtic fake stater, and a silver coin of Julia Domna, the Empress in the Severan dynasty. It's a wild west of a show. There's so many different items that I'm excited about. And so we'll get right into, I actually gave a presentation on this coin. This is a Judean Alexander Jannaeus, part of the Hasmonean dynasty, a biblical widow's mite. There's a parable where a woman who's very poor, a widow, which would have been extremely poor back then, donates 2 of these. That's basically 12 minutes wages, but all of her wealth, while some of the wealthier people donate their surplus. And so Jesus reminds us to give our all, trust in the Lord, that sort of focus. And so just, that's relevant on that front. We also have this silver dinar from the medieval Hungarians. There's an interesting, so King Koloman of Hungary is his uncle, and he ends up blinding Bela, though Bela is able to become the king. He's very tough. He seeks revenge against people who had done him wrong, and it's an interesting little silver medieval coin. We've got a nice coin. They often would silver these. Constantine the Great rules at a time when the actual silver content was quite low in his coins. We see some military standards here. That looks like it's minted in Oh no, it's minted in Arles, so I was wrong. But beautiful Constantinian phallus, and this is Constantine. You can tell by, it should say Max Aug. That's like after he's consolidated power 324 to 337, and he's a huge reason that Christianity is so popular today. He sees a Cairo before the Battle of the Milvian Bridge, and so, very, very fascinating level of some even biblical history on that front. Speaking of that, we have one of these Herodian. It is from Herod the Great, a Pruta coin. That's 40 to 4 BC. He was the, I believe, person who expanded some of the temples in Jerusalem, but was not very friendly to, young Jewish individuals. We have some later items such as Charis. This is in pretty good condition. It actually, so the interesting thing about this one, which is not noted on, or it is posthumous, but it says Diwo, so that means like after death, Charis, and so it's normally, you can see an eagle, but that eagle is gonna, and it probably says, consecratio, that means that a coin is struck after an emperor dies. So Diocletian is able to fix the Roman age of chaos along with Maximian and make way for the rule of Constantine the Great not too long later. And the last coin I was going to feature here, actually the memory in my phone gave away, but the Empress Zenobia establishes this breakaway empire, the Palmyrene Empire, and they strike coins with Vabalithus, who became king at age 8, along with Aurelian, who's featured on the reverse of the coin. He actually also invaded the Gallic Empire, which had broken away under Postumus, and so Aurelian was really reclaiming a lot for the Romans. This was kind of the Syrian region. The Gallic Empire was more in modern-day France, and they took back Vabalithus in chains to Rome. So pretty interesting. That's going to be the conclusion. Again, we've got tons of coins. Some of these, a lot of them are actually not uploaded. Like if I just take, whatever's here. Okay, wow, beautiful Gallienus Antoniani, Valerian, fascinating and well-struck tetradrams. 4 of them. We've got a Julia Domna issue. There's Severus Alexander, the last of the Severins. 3 of his, Huvishka. I was mentioning the Indian coins, Kushan Empire. And there's actually the Vimatokto Soter, like the Great Savior. A little bit of bronze disease is why this one's going to sell probably, I would estimate that in the 15 to 20 range. Beautiful dolphin money from Olbia prior to them actually minting full-on coins. It's going to be a memorable show. We've really been striving to just do better and better in terms of quality, while also we still have a fair number of coins that are going to go in the $10 range that are affordable. So really looking forward to it, and I hope to see you all there. Thanks for watching the video. Make sure to head on over to treasuretown.com and sign up for our email list to stay up to date on everything that's happening, whether it's auction updates, exciting new inventory drops, coin collecting news, or general informational resources. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you on another one.